Hey guys, Jerry and Brian, looks like you're the first two in. Paveman, Andy, John, how are you, my friend? All right, guys, getting started here. There we go. So, got over 100 people in already. So, Todd Vandermine, Freedom Steel here. Former NRA contract lobbyist, Illinois gun law guru. Sorry, it has been delayed on me getting some content out there. Personal things have been happening. I've been working a lot out at the club, building ranges. We had to go buy a new dozer. Our D5 took a crap on us, had to replace it, had to go find another D5. That's one side of it. All the work trying to get stuff done out there since the weather's good, no rain. Rain is a 4-letter word, and when you're moving dirt. But on top of that, my 4-month-old grandson has started having seizures, and he had a second one yesterday. And so he is down at Rush Memorial Hospital. So that has taken some issues with the family. Along with that, let's get through a couple of things here. Shout out to my friends. I still have the canner. I have not able to find a suitable place on the wall of stuff behind me and I will get to that. And John, and then today we had some excellent mouth-watering um, brisket by Bill Roberts or Goob's Barbecue, and he also was wonderful enough to provide me with this bottle of full bore whiskey, although it is peanut butter and jalapeno flavored whiskey. Now, I have been known to eat Reese's cups and jalapenos while drinking whiskey. I'm not sure who came up with the idea to put it all in the same bottle. So we will try that at some later, but you gotta go full bore. If you have a backup plan, you've already admitted defeat. A mighty fine American whiskey mixed with the knockout flavors of peanut butter and spicy jalapeno on a stick. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna go back here on the stack of stuff where I don't knock it off. I would also like to give a shout out to Red Glare Bullet Creations. They gave us some other products, their jewelry. They make tie tacks, bullet themed, keychains, tie tack or tie clasps on top of things. And they have given us a booty of these to raffle off or do something with in order to help the litigation fund that we are supporting. So, with that, Red Glare Bullet Creations. They're local here to the area. They are veteran owned. Looks like the guy's a former Marine. I know former Marines are never former Marines, but with that, so wanted to give those guys a shout out. Been meaning to do that for a while. I am wearing my zombie snow shadow whatever gray ghost camel. This is in signed by John Shrek McPhee. He truly writes like a ranger. Since John is over in Europe as we speak, getting ready to do a jump into D-Day for all of that. With all that, with all that, um, and yeah, I've got to figure out a spot for that decanter. John, that thing is huge. The box is bigger than my screen. I got to figure that out. And I got to figure out what I'm going to put in it too. But have no fear. We will do. Hey, Bill. See you in there. Your barbecue, your stuff was excellent tonight. It was mouth-watering good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the au jus that's left over from that, and when the wife decides to make rice with something this week, I'm going to actually cook the rice in the au jus, just to give it that extra flavor. And drinking out of my CSAT cup tonight. Tip of the hat to Paul Howe and all those guys. So the legislature is adjourned. As Mark Twain once said, no man's life, liberty, or property are safe so long as the legislature is in session. They are now out of session. So until those 177 kindergartners decide to come back or get called back in, we're safe for now. They did pass House Bill 218 dealing with marketing and advertising by people within the firearms industry. It is not just manufacturers, it is not just retailers. And it deals with things like lethality, which I'm going to do a video on as to whether or not did they just ban the sale of hollow points. They hate our Second Amendment rights. They hate our First Amendment rights. That's what's going on. Illinois, today, the defendants in a number of lawsuits filed briefs to the Court of Appeals. The Chicago brief, let me pull that up here real quickly. Where is it? There it is. The Chicago brief in Herrera is 91 pages. Cook County filed the brief. Let's see. You got Cook County, you got the state. So you got 3 briefs that were filed today. Cook, Chicago, and the state. And this is where I think Frivolous Frank Easterbrook did us a disservice. They're all filing their briefs. And if they all, I haven't seen what the Cook County brief is. I thought I'd see it by now, but I haven't. And I haven't seen the state's brief. And with all of that, they could have 300 pages against us. So we'll see what that all looks like. Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with everybody in the comments as I sit here and try to roll through my list of stuff to talk about. So our briefs are due on the 16th. Oral arguments are on 6/29. I will be downtown for the oral arguments. I want to see what this thing looks like going forward there, which is interesting because we still have not seen anything out of Judge Benitez in California. If he takes the path of what the judge in New Jersey did, 235 pages for potential decisions in the 4 cases in front of him, billy clubs, magazines, semi-autos, and I think he's got a carry case on top of that. You're looking at 900 pages of opinion from the judge. So we don't know what is holding up Benitez. We also have Atkinson, which was argued in November on nonviolent felons in front of the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. And then we have Bianchi v. Frosch, the 4th District Court of Appeals oral arguments on the Maryland semi-auto ban. So lots of stuff waiting in the wings for us. And now to all my felonious followers, since the pistol brace amnesty period has ended, and we now have the pistol brace rule in full effect, unless you happen to be a member of GOA, SAF, or FPC, to which the members of those organizations are covered by an injunction issued by 3 separate judges and a court of appeals. So, state or the ATF is not advertising that in any of their compliance documents, saying, well, if you're a member of these guys, you don't have to comply. We also have some interesting developments where you have had the director of ATF say one thing in front of a committee under oath about no constructive possession is going to be charged, and then you have ATF saying something completely different. Washington Gun Law did a video yesterday. I thought his math was off. just, I went to public school, and he did an updated video today saying, in fact, his math was off. But the fact is, it's largely non-compliant, no matter what numbers you look at. So let me bring up a set of numbers on my screen here for me to quote, because I did a spreadsheet running from 3 million, which was 3 to 7 million was the low ATF estimates. 10 to 40 million was the congressional research estimates. If there were 3 million braces, and ATF has announced that 255,162 were registered under the amnesty period, then they had an 8.5% compliance rate if there were 3 million. Now, that does not take into effect or account how many people sat there and may have added a 16-inch barrel or done something like that. At 5 million, it's a 5.1%. At 7.5, the upper end of ATF's estimates, it would be a 3.4% compliance rate for registration. At 10 million, the lower estimate of the congressional research, it is 2.55%. At 15 million braces in existence, it is 1.7%. At 20 million, it is 1.27%. At 25 million, it's just a hair over 1%. At 27.5 million, it drops below 1% to 0.92. At 30 million, it is 0.85. At 35 million, reaching the upper ends of the congressional research, it is 0.72 or less than 0.75%. And at the upper ends of the estimates by the Congressional Research Authority, 40 million braces in existence with 255,000 registered would be a 0.63% compliance rate, just over one half of 1%. So massive non-compliance, even at the low end on 3 million. You are way, way under what happened in New Jersey, Connecticut, or any of those places when they had the semi-auto registrations. A lot of people were asking, it's like, why is everybody running to register? Now, there are some guys who I've seen in the social media sphere who said, I registered because I'm going to put a stock on it, and this way I just save myself the $200. Okay, I understand that. With that, the point is you end up in the registry. If your goal is to not be in the registry, we see where this whole thing takes our case to. Because the interesting parts of this are, one, this thing could be thrown out on the ADA. Understand that the majority of the three claims in the three court cases with FPC, SAF, and GOA are all under the Administrative Procedures Act. That ATF does not have the authority to do this, and they're just way out there. So, with that, but now with them saying 255,000 have been registered pistol braced guns. The question is, based on Catano, where Justice Alito in a concurring opinion said 200,000 was enough to make stun guns in common use, does that number now make braced firearms in common use and therefore subject to the scrutiny of the Second Amendment, which means what regulations and historical data is there on braced type firearms? And if you are classifying braced type firearms as short barreled rifles, is 250,000 enough to say that short barreled rifles are in common use and therefore subject to a Second Amendment challenge? Interesting concepts. And to deal with all that. So, got to scroll through some of the comments here. Let's see. Family first. Yep. How many braces are stashed away? Well, depends on whose estimates you believe, but there's probably a lot. So let's see. Well, shockwaves are not per se SBS is based on ATF's rule, but I would expect them to change that rule just like they did the pistol brace rules. Um, so, uh, Curtis, threaded rifles. Yes, a threaded rifle, a rifle with a threaded barrel in the Illinois law is prohibited. It's considered an assault weapon as well as pistols. Um, let's see. We won't. Well, we won't know for sure which judges are going to hear the ban until we show up to court that morning. Uh, yes, I believe to how. The funny thing is, they used House Bill 218. HR 218 was the Leosa carry bill that passed Congress a number of years ago. Yes, I believe it violates Protection of Lawful Commerce Act. I also think it violates the First Amendment. Um, let's see. Best should hit the fan bolt gun rifle caliber. I have a tendency to lean towards 308 just because of all the 308 ammo out there. Winchester White Box will get you there. It's not the best, but um, I really lean towards common calibers. Most of my bolt guns are in 308. Mm, Brian, you're starting to parse some very nuanced things there. They don't make a distinction between it. Mm, Warsaw, what are you laughing about? Let's see. Uh, Andy. No, Andy, you can move everything out of state if you don't want to register stuff if you're not bringing it back in the state. Because then you don't have to declare anything. If you're not in possession of it here, it's not a lot they can do. I understand. Nothing I'm giving here is legal advice. It is simply my interpretation of the law. Um, and DB, but the problem is with a muzzle brake, it still has a device on the end of it. And that means that it still falls under the category of an assault weapon. So it's still a pain they wrote. The way they wrote this thing, the anti-gunners really put their heads down and figured out some sneaky things to put in here to kind of put people in a trick bag. All right. I don't know. That would be an ATF question because, yes, you have to have a CNR license in order to have an SBR in Illinois. ATF is claiming braced rifle type or braced pistols are now SBRs. Therefore, they're an SBR. In order to have an SBR, you have to have a CNR. I don't know what they were doing about that. And a bunch of guys were thinking about applying for CNRs. But the real problem is whether or not nobody has been able to answer the question, is ATF going to give the state police and or other localities access to the NFA database? So if they want a printout of everybody that has a braced pistol that is registered or an SBR, because if you look at Cook County, Highland Park, Chicago, their gun bans are not mere sales bans. The state ban is a ban on sales, not possession, unless it's not registered by January 1. They're trying to split this McDonald, Heller. Oh, we're not doing a gun ban. We're just saying you can't sell them. That's their little cutesy thing that the anti-gunners are trying to do to wiggle around Heller and New York or Heller and McDonald. And so the question is, are they going to get access to that? And if they do, and it's a ban on possession, then the other part of it is you need, if you're going to store it somewhere else other than your own residence, you have to have a letter with ATF acknowledging that it's going to be stored somewhere else, or you're going to transport it out of state. See, Buckshot, yes. ASC is still accepting new member applications. Bill, the lawsuits were in. It's been quiet because we've been waiting on stuff to file. The state and all those actors had to file today. We file on the 16th. We are oral arguments on 6/29. That's when everything goes. Registration. Everybody gets spooled up about this registration stuff. I don't know why. Because you're going to have to attest that you had this thing prior to January 9th. So all the TRO people under DeVore and our Freedom Week guys, the state is saying, nope, can't do that. Governor Pritzker's been out there saying you can't do that and all that. So, we'll see. With all that, so I don't know why registration until the December 31st. I'm not even concerned about it. It's 6 months away. I don't care about it. I'm not thinking about that. Let's see. Yeah, Pete, go ahead. To join ASC, go online. You fill out the application. It's a $25 application fee. It gets credited towards your fees to join. If you pursue it, once you join, they will send you, once you apply, they will send you an email. That email will have a link in it to watch a video. You watch the video. You then have to email them back and request an oral interview. They will then go on and set you up with an oral interview. You answer the questions, and then you'll be on the list to come in for an orientation. And there are a couple more orientations yet this year. Sean Ford came and bought a gun. Interesting. Let's see. Yes, EP. The 200,000 number came from the Catano case. It was a Supreme Court decision on stun guns arising out of Massachusetts, and it was used by Justice Alito. The other people, the other side of this doesn't want to talk about Catano at all, but we think it is a very, very good indicator of where the court lies. Resale value, resale within the state, can't do. Resale outside the state, don't know. Typically, I don't sell a lot of guns. How likely? I think we're going to prevail. I think we're going to prevail on that. It's just a question of when. Yeah, I really think that we're going to prevail. Tristan, I believe they would if it came down to that. I mean, you're talking about three co-equal branches of government, and one government said law doesn't apply. So people acting under the color of law have to be given some deference. Let's see. I don't know where Governor Burgermeister is from. I really don't care. I put some pics and stuff in my videos to try to get some points across. But it takes a lot of time, and I don't have a production assistant. It's all me. So let's see. Yeah, the USP FedEx policies do make it difficult for private parties to ship guns and stuff. McGlynn didn't issue a TRO. McGlynn issued an injunction. The state court judges issued TROs. Yeah, Lake Geneva. Yeah, Bill. Uh, so those are a few of the things. Still waiting on Bianchi, still waiting on Benitez, still waiting on Atkinson. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there. They had oral arguments today in the Oregon measure. Don't know how those went. Haven't seen any tells on that. Um, yeah. Yeah, 4-1 seem to be going through if you want to go that route. A lot. A lot, Freedom. A lot. You can go back and rewatch this. Uh, so with that, yeah, we're going to be writing our briefs. There's an amici campaign going on to support our side. I mean, I think that Frivolous Frank is trying to give the upper hand to the other side. It'll be interesting if he sits on the panel. And if he does, I think that'll be a tell. I've been thinking that we would get a decision out of Judge Sykes on Atkinson long before now. I'm hoping that we see something before the 29th. We'll see. We'll see. And, you would think that the panel in Bianchi would issue something here pretty quick. They're sitting on 6 months. That's, and that panel sounded very good for us. Yeah, John, the state cases, they were argued. So the Calkins case was argued at the state Supreme Court, and the DeVore cases are kind of out there as he goes through discovery and does some other things. Dan, most crazy or odd part, probably the parts ban, the repair ban, that kind of stuff. But if you want to look at the mags, I continue to maintain that 870s and 1022s are illegal for sale. And just the sheer breadth of this, if you take them at the black letter of the law. Oh, heels up Harris as the gun bans are. Yep. She's definitely one that laid out on the job. And the beard's getting there. I trimmed it back earlier this year. I haven't decided if I'm going to trim it back this summer or not, or just let it go. I haven't had a haircut since last October. Uh, there are very few people alive who've seen me with hair anywhere near this long. Most of them saw it was in 1982 in my senior year of high school when I had hair not quite this long. Uh, and I still have most of it on top. Unlike a whole lot of my other compadres who have thinning and receding hairlines. Uh, yeah, Warsaw. Oregon's ban was before ours because it was a ballot initiative on stuff. Theirs was magazines, and I forget when. I think FOID card style system that's been put in abeyance by their state court, but their federal court case, yeah, they drew a real nitwit of a federal judge. Then ours came in, then Washington State's came in. Colorado didn't get theirs done. New Mexico didn't get theirs done. Detroit, Michigan didn't get theirs done. Connecticut just updated theirs, and Maryland did something on there. Did it a carry law. Let's see. From the Cali. Yes, Keyblade. It was argued back in February. So, yes, we are all there. Today, I think, is the anniversary of Judge Benita's first decision in the Duncan case on magazines. The EPA ruling helps in administrative rules. It certainly does. The bigger case will be the Chevron case coming up next term from the fishermen on the East Coast. If they knock out the Chevron doctrine and go to black letter law, huge win for us. Hunter Biden, I have seen some of the reports on that. I think it is hilarious that they are going to now make a Bruin argument. So think about this. Hunter Biden is accused in the media, not by a court, not by an attorney general or an ASA, of lying on a 4473. People say, hey, he was a drug user. It's open and shut, black and white. And that his people would be arguing the same way they argued in Riani on civil protection orders, or the marijuana users, or any of those are the nonviolent felon kind of thing, that Bruin forecloses this. That would be very, very interesting with all that. It would be, very, very interesting that the president's delinquent and degenerate drug-induced son is using the Bruin defense. Very, very interesting. Hey, Save the Humans. I didn't have a shameless balls. I just said that I have been blessed to still have a head of hair on me, and that there are very few people that have seen me with this kind of hair since 40 years ago when I was in high school. Person to persons end July 1. July 1. We'll see what kind of compliance rate they get with that. Favorite firearms? That depends on what I'm doing. See, I have I like military scatter guns. Is just like a genre of guns I like. I like the World War II sub guns. I think they are cool. I think that's like the 1950s of cars. From my military days, I got to play around with the original HKG3s and stuff, and was kind of partial to those for their durability and all that. But these days, I like my ARs that I've built and stuff. I'm always a fan of a good 1911. John Moses Browning got it right. Let's see. All right, you guys have Verse 7 STI. Yeah, we've got hope. We've got a lot of hope. Here's the thing. Four Boxes Diner is built on the premise of the four boxes of our republic. You have the soap box, you have the ballot box, you have the jury box, and the last one is the cartridge box. I have to continue to believe in the first three, because if we go to number 4, we're going to look like the Balkans. And that is not something most people want to see. Andy K, if you bought parts and imported them into the state, it's already illegal. And the guys that sold them to you, it's illegal. Pay cash, it's, I would not be putting anything on a credit card and having shipped to my house these days, because if one guy, if they catch one seller, be it gun broker, be whatever, then I think they could get a subpoena, open an investigation, and want all their records. So until we get this knocked down, it's a problem. Buckshot, both. So Second Amendment Defense and Education Committee, SADAC, is a group I'm involved with here in Illinois. The Second Amendment Law Center is a group I am involved with that is based out of California, but is looking to have a more national approach to things. Second Amendment Law Center, any money that goes there from Illinois is earmarked for Illinois litigation aspects, unless we decide to do something different, but we're not right now. And so I urge you to donate both. The Second Amendment Law Center is probably going to be working on amici briefs and helping, other worthwhile cases. The second SADC, the Second Amendment Defense and Education Committee, is focusing on our litigation here in Illinois, and we're having discussions about what's next, what happens after this. But we're probably gonna end up at the Supreme Court one way or another. So let's just walk through kind of a timeline. Right now, the first one up potentially is Bianchi. They're ahead of us. Now, unless by some strange happenstance, the judges in the Bianchi panel do not issue an opinion before our opinion comes out after oral arguments later this month. And if we're the first ones up, I mean, if we get a decision quickly out of the Seventh Circuit, then one or two, we win, they're going to appeal. If we lose, we're going to appeal. We're going up there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's what happened. That's what's going to happen. So, uh, you know, let's see where else did I get here. Dave G. So there's a question under, I think I have a copy of it here in the stack of stuff. So House Bill 218. So firearm related product means a firearm, firearm ammunition, firearm precursor party, firearm component, or a firearm accessory that meets any of the following conditions. All right. And they say firearms accessory means an attachment or device designed or adapted to be inserted into, affixed to, or used in conjunction with a firearm that is designed, intended, or functions to alter or enhance, number two, the lethality of the firearm. So, can any retailer, can any ammunition manufacturer be sued for marketing or selling something that increases the lethality? Is it arguable that a laser sight on a gun makes it more lethal for making it more accurate? You can be sued, and then you have to defend yourself in court. So it's under that theory that the lethality of a firearm, and the other part here, number three is, or a shooter's ability to hold and use a firearm. A stock? Macmillan Stocks is now liable? For what? Yeah. So, let's see. Save. Rogaine. Really? Dude, just. Civil, if you go, so there was a bill year or so ago, House Bill or Senate Bill 562, whichever one it was, House Bill 562, and they were going to end person-to-person sales. And it was supposed to take effect January 1, 2024. And then the semi-auto ban, they goosed it to July 1 of this year. So if you want to effect a transfer, it must go through a dealer. And there are a lot of dealers who aren't going to do that. Now, there are some dealers who think that $15 for effecting a transfer, and the rules on that, the state has one set of rules. And I talked to ATF agents at the gun show last month, said, hey, they say it doesn't have to go in the books. And they're like, can't do that. So the dealer will have to take possession. The dealer will have to do a 4473. You will have to go back to the dealer and he will make you wait the 72 hours. He will call it in and do all of that. So, Sapien, yes, I do enjoy cigars. My favorite is a Monte Cristo number two. I haven't smoked any in a while. Um, Trying to get some things cleared up with my doctor, but I do enjoy the occasional cigar. I do not smoke very many of them. Yeah, you're right. Watching oral arguments are interesting. Let's see. Anderson v. Rule. So yeah, so it has been consolidated with the Morris v. whatever, Raul or whoever case. That's all right. They're all in front of the same judge, Judge Dugan. I've heard good things about him. um, the mediation, well, that's just a perfunctory thing. That mediation thing is probably going to get tossed out in 30 days. It's like, yeah, no, not going to work. Um, but there's a whole thing about how long it takes to get through some of this. Yes, I can drive a 977. We have a 63 out at the club. I still know how to run a 77 or a 55. Yeah, yeah, Yugoslavia, Bosnia, all those funny places. Uh, yep, Dan, that wording can be. It is intentionally open ended. Uh, Watch this channel, Sapien. Um, the Illinois carry boards are good for bouncing a lot of ideas and getting a lot of information off of my post up there. Uh, it's there's a few places to go for the best information about what's going on here at the state. Uh, Dave G. I didn't say hollow points are banned. I said the net effect is that if a dealer sells hollow points, they can now be sued over that. Which would then, why would you sell hollow points if they're going to make the gun more lethal if it's going to lead to a lawsuit? Um, that's the net effect. The net effect is it creates a de facto ban because who wants to sell a product? I mean, can you sell a laser sight? Can you sell an optic? Because, oh, you're not just selling a 1-4 scope. Now you're selling a 3-9 scope. And what's that going to do to enhance the lethality by making it more accurate? Does it make it easier for you to hold a gun because you've got a Macmillan stock? The way this thing is written, it is so open ended. Let's see. Nick, I only know of one. That was a gun dealer up in Loves Park. Although that seems to have quieted down a whole bunch. Yeah, Bill. Your Save, I agree with you. They write things in broad in general terms so they can scoop up as many people as they can. I think that's intentional. Hey, Nang. So those are kind of like my thoughts on everything for tonight. Got to hook up with Corey from the National African American Gun Rights Association. He wants to do a cast. I got a couple other guys that want to do some stuff. Uh, so yeah, it's the whole no more private sales stuff. Get some more information from ASC. Got to go over the whole construction budget and all that kind of stuff. Civil farmer, yes. person to person must go through an FFL as of July 1. I can look up and cite the page number if you guys want. Yeah, Carl, no, it's just been a time, and it just like I was trying to get a video done today. Had some things I want to talk about. The Cook County brief hasn't hit my desk yet, so I haven't been able to make all kinds of fun out of them. The Chicago brief is a doozy. I've seen that one, and it's idiotic at its basis. 94, they opened up deer hunting to certain rifles. Don't get me started on that. That is a pet peeve of mine in the way that it was done and by the person doing it. I don't want to open up a can of worms there that people aren't going to like. Mark, it's anybody's guess, but if Judge Benitez is writing, Judge Benitez probably has another 200 plus cases on his docket. But if he's writing 235 pages per issue on 4 different issues, that's 900 pages. So we see. Yeah, and the thing is with district court, when they make findings of fact, it makes it very, very difficult for the Court of Appeals. Good night, babe. It makes it very difficult for the Court of Appeals to overturn the facts. They have to do something else. No, it's still $25 as a maximum fee. Bucks, that's still part of 218. And so what it is that you can't do unlawful paramilitary or private militia means a group of armed individuals organized privately in violation. Let's see, what page is that? That is page 2. In violation of the Military Code of Illinois in Section 2 of Article 7 of the Illinois Constitution. I'll do a video on that because under the Illinois Militia Code, you can't teach somebody how to build a firearm. It's crazy. That may be a lawsuit all unto itself. So it's still out there, but the issue is that it's unlawful for anybody in the industry. All right. No, this isn't, remember, you got to kind of stack this stuff up. 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Firearm ammunition has the meaning set forth. Firearm industry member means a person, firm, corporation, company, partnership, society, joint stock company, or other entity or association engaged in the design, manufacture, distribution, importation, marketing, wholesale, or retail sale of firearm-related products, including sales by mail, telephone, or internet, or in-person sales. All right, so understand, everybody that is involved in any of these things is an industry member, and industry members then are prohibited from doing certain things. Let's see, and here, I gotta find, that's page 3. Where's page 4? So, and then under the it is unlawful for them to do a whole list and 2, advertise, market, or promote firearm-related product in a manner that reasonable appears to support, recommend, or encourage individuals to engage in unlawful paramilitary or private military militia activity in Illinois, or individuals who are not in the National Guard, United States Armed Forces Reserve, yada, yada, yada. Does ASC zombie shoot qualify for that? I don't know. Let's see who else we got in here. There's that. So Bucks and Ducks. Got that answer for you. Ryan, they don't care. They just want to put you in a trick bag. The easiest way to get rid of gun owners is to make them felons. Yeah, we've got 264 people on here live. So that's a good number. Jeremy, your friend is wrong. They the rules of being an FFL mean you have to follow state and federal. When I had my FFL, they checked my zoning to make sure I was zoned appropriately. I had to have a letter from the village that said it was okay for me to operate the type of shop I was going to operate. So your friend is 100% wrong. Andy, the state is still saying non-registerable, but that will be another fight. Yeah, Warsaw. I think they want. I think they want to make us more like the Soviet Union and not Canada. Save. I don't know. Rejuvenated gang members. Who knows what they are? Don't go down there. Don't know. The only reason I may be ending up downtown of sorts is if I have to go to the hospital to visit my grandson. Let's see. Hey, John. Oh, John Bach. Good to see you guys. Hope you're me. Hope Sangamon County went well for you tonight. Bunch of good guys down there and everything. Now, just going over a bunch of stuff I've been meaning to talk about and catch up on things. So, just wanted to give everybody a chance to holler out some questions and get some answers in. It seems like it goes really fast when we do it this way. So, it was packed. Good. Hey John, how's the mood with your guys down there? Are they all hanging on? Everything going good down there? They keeping the faith? I mean, GSL is one of the named plaintiffs in the lawsuit I helped organize with FFL Illinois and everybody. So, God bless all those guys. And you can tell them, to all my felonious followers. I mean, and the numbers on non-compliance with the pistol brace stuff is just astounding. I think we're gonna prevail, and we should be in a good posture by the time January 1 rolls around for our stuff. That's why I don't see why everybody gets all wrapped around the axle about that stuff just yet. But I don't know. We'll see. If we were to not prevail at the Court of Appeals, I think you'll see us making us an expedited appeal to the Supreme Court to get on the shadow docket because of the registration and all that other stuff. But that's just my guess at some things as we work out a few more issues that we want to look at and deal with. There's a ton of stuff going on here these days. There's all kinds of issues hanging out there, and the state keeps piling more on. So we keep finding more, and there's more things we want to tackle. Yeah, and Jeremy, tell you what, you tell him I said he's the idiot. He does not understand. And having had an FFL, trust me, I know a lot more than he knows. Oh, GSL tomorrow night in Pontiac. Guys, if you get time, make it down there. If you're in that area, it's a good thing. What else? If you bought stuff online, till somebody figures out that you got it, what else is there? There are people who I know who are leaving the state. They're going out of state. They are acquiring things. They are acquiring things with cash. They're not using credit cards. So there's no trail. Um, there's a lot of flipping the bird to Mr. Pritzker. Um, about this whole thing. It just depends on. I mean, I've seen some gun shops try to pawn off 30 round mags as 10 round 458 mags. There's a rumor of a single shot manually operated AR like rifle coming out on the market. We'll see what it all does. Let's see. Yep. So, guys, we're knocking on an hour. I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes for a couple of last minute questions. I only wanted to do an hour tonight. It was not a Freedom Friday drink fest because we got some really great news. Just there's been a lot of stuff out there, like all the questions you guys are throwing at me. I hear out on the range, Dane, and sometimes this is just an easier way to get at some of it. But when I have a point of view on any of the topics I wrote down tonight, um, yeah, I will share my thoughts about all that. Like I said, I think this whole 255,000 pistol brace registrations causes them an income and use problem. I disagree with David Codrea and his stuff on income and use that was published all over the internet last week. We have to take what the court gave us. And it's really interesting now. If you go back to Heller, because everything is jumping back to Heller, and then the other side is parsing every sentence that they can to drive a bus through it. Or they're taking M16 and the like and trying to extrapolate that to uh, ARs or anything else. They are saying in common use. They're trying to talk about that. They're dangerous and unusual. They're trying to convert it to dangerous or unusual. They are trying to make self-defense the new test out of New York, not the text of the Second Amendment. So that there is a ton of stuff there to go through. I've got some graphics I've been putting together for a couple of videos on updates to try to walk everybody through stuff and see what it looks like, just to keep everybody on the same page, because you really need a bingo scorecard to keep up with everything that's going on. Let's see. Yeah, Decatur GSL meeting is Wednesday. They certainly keep John busy with all those meetings and everything. Save, yeah, it's Governor Pizza the Hut. Let's see. Things are updates. Yep, Mrs. V went to go fold some laundry and go to bed. She's really what keeps me going with a bunch of stuff. Yeah, yeah, John. Yeah, print that on money some days and see how far it gets you. So filthy. That's an interesting thing. If you drop the non-threaded barrel in, then you can carry that gun. Um, you don't have to. You don't have to move the gun out of state. If you choose to not register it, if everything falls apart on us, then you're in a different category. But there are various things that have to happen. You don't have, the only reason you would have to move a gun out of state is one, we lose everything and the courts say this law is constitutional. Two, that means the registration component kicks in. Three, they don't honor the Freedom Week or the TROs. Four, they would sit there and you would decide that in order to keep your gun around, you would register your gun. Those steps have to happen before we get to that point. And if you don't want to register your firearm and not be in danger of a felony, move it out of state. We're a long ways from that. We're a minimum of 6 months away from that. And we'll see. Michael, the Calkins case, still pending in front of the Illinois State Supreme Court. They heard oral arguments, waiting on an opinion. And the funny thing is, there's a whole campaign on Twitter about people filing complaints with the Judicial Ethics Commission over two of the judges. That has taken on a life of its own. Uh, 9465, if they want to try it on that, that's funny. That I still think there's a whole argument to be made that goes after the ghost gun stuff. John Bach and I have talked about it and how you have to build certain steps. That's why the right to repair that we have argued about is so important, because if I have the right to repair, so under Rizal, here's the theory. Under Rizal, we have the right to maintain proficiency. We have the right to acquire a firearm. If we have the right to maintain proficiency, there has to be a corresponding right to maintain a firearm in good working order. If we have the right to acquire a firearm, does that not mean we have the right to acquire the parts necessary to maintain that firearm? If we have the right to maintain a firearm and keep it in good working order, do we not have, and we have the right to acquire a firearm, do we not have the right to assemble our own firearm? If we have the right to assemble our own firearm, then do we not have the right to build our own firearm? And if we have the tools, the skill, and the ability and the know-how to manufacture our own firearm, do we not have that ability? If all those are contained under the text of the Second Amendment, going back to Ezell, as to how you build on that, okay? If all of those things are enumerated under the text of the Second Amendment, which is the New York test, does the text, in our case, does the text of the Second Amendment? And see, they are hinging in this case because they didn't go after mere possession. Chicago and Cook County sat there and said you can't even possess. And this is where I don't know who Herrera is, but their case completely missed the point on all of this. And this is the nuance that the anti-gun lawyers, when they were writing this stuff in the state, sat there and did. And so what they've done is they didn't go after Todd, you can't own, you have to surrender it, move it out. They didn't play that game. They sat there and they said, we're stopping the sale. We're going to shut off the flow of commerce. No more new ones, no more parts, can't build them, can't whatever. Well, that's how they're trying to get around Heller and McDonald. If you and I have the right to assemble or build or repair our own firearms, their whole thing about ghost guns and all that stuff goes out the flipping window. Gone. Bye-bye. Done. And with that, they have a whole new problem. Because our goal under the New York test, does the text of the Second Amendment cover it? Yes or no? So under the Chicago handgun ban, yeah, mere possession of a handgun, illegal. Okay. So the text of the Second Amendment, carry the whole New York thing. Does the text imply a right? The text implies the right to bear arms, the right to carry a gun. So we have all that. And we want that text to be as broad as we can get it. So Ezell says we have the right to maintain proficiency. We have the right to acquire. If there is a right to acquire, there has to be a corresponding right to sell, either privately or commercially. There has to be a right to sell. Can't have the right to acquire. And if I have the right to acquire, then why don't I have the right to build or assemble my own gun? Either I get the parts, make the parts, or whatever. Okay. If I have the right to build my own gun that is covered by the text of the Second Amendment, then it is the burden of the state to prove that that was against the history and tradition of our country. And there were laws on the books to do that. Springfield Army. So Springfield Army took their name from the government. The government never trademarked their name. So here's the interesting thing about it. Springfield Army was largely manufacturing cannons. They didn't start manufacturing muskets until almost 1791. They relied on imports. The Revolutionary Army relied on imports and blacksmiths and small gun manufacturers who were nothing more than overglorified blacksmiths to make guns. The history and tradition of our country is people made their guns locally. How do you think you ended up with the Pennsylvania or the Kentucky rifle? I got a scratch in my throat. That's where it came from. I'm relishing that fight in the courts because the history and tradition is clearly on our side. The Kentucky rifle. I didn't think it got its name. Some blacksmiths down in, the Appalachian Hills wanted a rifle that did certain things. Okay. So if we prevail, then they have to show that building, doesn't matter if it's a 3D printer, CNC machine, raw forging, doesn't matter. The burden is on them that it does. And what do you think the history books look like with that? And then it's a dead bang win. If we prevail on that we can all build our own guns one way or the other, 3D printers, whatever. And don't forget that the whole frame rule goes back to another challenge to Administrative Procedures Act with ATF, that they have overstepped their bounds. You've already got one judge in Texas saying, nope, can't do that. So with all these things, that means that what they can regulate, because if we get, to me, the 27 words of the Second Amendment should be the equivalent of the Encyclopedia Britannica. All that is covered. That whole stack of stuff is covered. And if it's all covered, then what they can actually do and regulate and point to, unless the Supreme Court gives them some loophole to drive a bus through, it's about that freaking big. They can have the man pats. I have a printout copy of the state's presentation in front of Judge McGlynn, and I got to see if I can find that in electronic format. But they put shoulder launched javelins and AT4s and I'm drawing the stingers and that stuff in there. Oh, see, these are all arms. They're man portable. Yes, they are. And I have always maintained that what I lobbied for was things that go bang, not boom. And when you have shrapnel and collateral damage, the rifle, the pistol, whatever, it is aimed at something specific. Cannons get aimed at areas. And with all that, it's just, when I am aiming at something, I am aiming at a specific target. I'm not trying to affect collateral damage with an explosive. And therein lies the difference. And that's where I think they're just out the window here. So let's see. Yeah, WTVP, Senate Warsaw. Email me a link to that video so I know which one you're exactly talking about. But, actually, somebody asked me, since I used to do these rants on Facebook, what the fuck is wrong with The Walking Dead, that I ought to do a whole YouTube channel going through episode by episode about what the fuck is wrong with The Walking Dead. Are there no veterans left alive that understand just the basics of the military squad? Yeah, Keith, void the Foyd is on the list. The trick to that? Let's watch what happens coming out of the Fourth Circuit with Maryland. There's a challenge to their, quote, Foyd card. We prevail on that. If they prevail on that, then Katie barred the door. I don't own a boat, John. Not too worried about it. Matt don't know what that is. If we win at the Court of Appeals, we could win in a matter of weeks. So, not long after 4th of July. We could lose just as fast, depending on who's on the panel. If frivolous Frank Easterbrook is on the panel and trying to make Alito Thomas et al., tell him Friedman was wrong, I think Thomas and Alito would love nothing more than to rub Frank's nose in a pile of dog shit. So I don't know. I would hope that the 7th is moving things along fairly quickly, but the Atkinson decision has me scratching my head. Bones, yeah. I can imagine. Email me offline. We can talk about it. Non-alcoholic beverage. It depends. I drink Diet Coke because I don't drink a lot of coffee, although the Gun Barrel Coffee guys, they're getting me to warm up the coffee. And if it's hot like today, I was drinking lemonade. Greg, yeah, The Walking Dead rants. Maybe we ought to go back and do some of those just for shits and giggles. Yeah, DB. Somebody here in Illinois is looking at something like that. Yeah, Stillwater is you and the rest of the country is waiting on Bianchi. Andy, I'm going to tell you again. It was a felony to import them. It was a felony for them to sell them to you. The deed's already done. The question is, can they trace it to you? I don't know. I don't know how you paid for them. I don't know where they came from. If you like I said, look at what they've done to the auto key guys. ATF went after those guys and got the customer list. And there's other things like that. I don't know what the state police are going to do. I don't know what the attorney general's office is going to do. They seem to have a whole, lot of time to wear or do some other stuff. But is that as deep as this goes? I don't know. Well, if your parts aren't, so here's the thing. If the registry goes into effect, come January 1, you have to declare the guns, parts, magazines. How they're going to do that, I don't know. You sign an affidavit. What? I own 800 magazines. I don't know. Is that what somebody's going to say? I happen to own 5,000 screws for an AR-15. I don't know. How are they going to work that? So you're supposed to sign an affidavit attesting you had all this stuff prior to 1/9. Now, how are they going to figure that out? I don't know. Firearms, they can figure that out because they're serialized and they were transferred. How are they going to figure out that you had these screws, didn't have these screws, without pulling audits of, part suppliers or retailers across the entire country? I don't know. I'm just telling you what the law says. No, DB, I don't like any ginger beer. I can't have, first off, I have celiacs. I can't have beer. And all the IPA beers that are gluten-free suck. None of that works. So I just drink to caffeine and carbonation. Warsaw, I agree with you. Stop worrying about it. Yeah. I only drank coffee when I was freezing ass cold in the military. Just never did it. Yeah, DB, you're right. Someone told pound sand. The question is how, if there's somebody out there being flagrant about it, what is going to happen? And what's the AG's office or state police or somebody else going to do about it? I don't know. It's a guessing game. Anything we say is a guess at this point. Dan, no, you can't. Can't buy any part that goes into assembling a so-called assault weapon. Uh, yeah, you want to talk about parts? Don't even get me started on parts. You can look around this video screen and see parts. Uh, Nick, it's supposed to be an online affidavit subject to penalties of perjury. You lie about it. So, are they going to make that affidavit part of the FOIA renewal process? I don't know. I mean, there are multiple layers to this stuff that the average person hasn't thought about. And a bunch of us have thought about it. We've worked through it, and we kind of say, well, then A plus B equals C. How are they going to do this? They don't have the systems to do all of this. And, it gets so those are, guns, mags, parts, the three things that are supposed to be according to the and I understand. I throw attachments in with parts. Um, those are the things that are supposed to be sworn to on an affidavit that you had all of these things long before, which make sure I cover up the serial number here. But so Mossberg 500 style shotgun, pump action shotgun, legal under the act. AR style buttstock, AR style buffer tube, AR style pistol grip. You have to declare these parts even though they're on a shotgun? Don't know. It gets like this. Can you sell parts like that because you're selling them as a kit to go on a 500 or an 870 shotgun? Don't know. What do you do about guns that have interchangeable parts like that? Don't know. I mean, they don't understand what they wrote. They don't understand how to enforce it, and there's no guidance coming down. Nick, I think the affidavit is going to be online. Ruger, I think it's going to be overturned. If the current Supreme Court, sticks with what there is, I think these bans are going to be overturned. And I think you're going to see, if you thought the hue and cry over Dobbs and the abortion issue was loud, wait till Murphy and Schumer and everybody else start howling next June when their semi-auto bans get thrown out the window right in front of the election. And the Republicans better have a plan for that. They really do. That's the subject of a whole nother thing. Yes, DB, your premise is correct there. Yes, Ray, we're all claiming the Hunter Biden. We're all claiming Bruin or New York supersedes all of this. And I'm going to get banned, whatever. They want to tell me it's a... So, we'll see what they do. All right, guys. We went 20 minutes longer than I was anticipating. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you very much for all the thoughts and your continued support. We'll get some more videos cranked out this week as we do. So, as always, frag out.